Hey everybody, welcome to my review of Hogwarts Legacy. But first, Last Generation's Moral Panic, Wizards, Dungeons and Dragons monsters, the occult.
Could it possibly be? Was it? Oh, I don't know. Say it.
So, this is my 4 Black Mage playthrough of Final Fantasy 1. If you've been watching me for a while, you know that I do a lot of FF1 playthroughs with weird parties. I like to do 4 of the same class in particular. And at this point, I've beaten the game with 4 of the same class with everything except White Mage and Black Mage. So, this particular playthrough that we're watching right now, this was me going with 4 Black Mages. And obviously, I named my characters after the 4 fiends. And this is the final dungeon of the game, and I just wanted to kind of showcase my win with 4 Black Mages. You know, spoiler alert, I do succeed in beating the final boss. All I've got really left now is just the 4 White Mages playthrough, but that's something that's in the works, and I'm definitely going to do something very cool with that, actually. It's going to be different from anything I've done before. But in any case, so yeah, 4 Black Mages, or Black Wizards if you prefer. And the final dungeon really isn't that bad as long as you hold on to the important spell charges. Don't use nuke. You know, just hang on to nuke. Don't use it. Get the mass immune. That's the most important thing. Most important thing with like any FF1 run with an underpowered party. Get the mass immune, and then exit out of the dungeon. And, you know, get all healed up, go back and do it again. The dungeon is much easier with the mass immune, and you can save a lot of your spell casts that way for the final boss, because you're going to need basically all of your spell casts for the final boss. So yeah, I'm conserving my nukes, and then mostly relying on mass immune and different like Fire 3, Ice 3 type spells to kind of get me through this dungeon. So next, we've got the fight with Lich. So we're going to see how that goes. Lich is pretty dangerous in the Temple of Fiends because he can cast Nuke now. However, he does have fairly low HP, so the key here is just to take him down as quick as you can. And let's see what I use. Okay, I'm going with Fire 3. Fire 3, you know, it absolutely destroys Lich the first time you meet him, and it works really well here as well. So yeah, just dishing out Fire 3. It's looking pretty good. Kraken is the one wielding Mass Immune, because the actual Kraken hits very hard with physical attacks. So I thought it would just kind of make sense to have Kraken be my big physical attacker. So he got the Mass Immune. And now we're just plowing through the next floor. I'm still using up my spell charges here, but not nuke. Holding on to nuke, very important. The first half of the dungeon, pretty much, doesn't really have any bosses in it, so it's just a matter of getting through without using too many of your resources. Using heal helmet and heal staff to heal is also a must, you know, because you only have so many potions to go around, and you will run out of potions. Even if you brought 100, even if you brought 100 potions, you'll still run out, which is kind of insane. So yeah, here we've got Marilith, Carrie Marilith. I don't know why they changed the name. Maybe Marilith didn't fit or something. But I'm using Ice 3 against this one, and Mass Immune. The thing about Carrie, though, is she's not vulnerable to ice. Like, you would think she'd be vulnerable to ice, but she's actually more vulnerable to physical attacks. She has extremely high magic resistance. So yeah, Ice 3 is not going to do much for me here, but Mass Immune will. So I hasted my Mass Immune caster, or wielder, and now I'm just going to kind of use heal items while I whack her with the Mass Immune. Good stuff. So yeah, while this fight's going on, I'm just going to adjust this camera a wee bit here. Okay. Oh, another very important thing with 4 black mages is you can't let anyone die, because you don't actually have any way to revive your characters with this party. And in FF1, there are no Phoenix Downs. You know, especially if you're playing on the NES version, which is the pure version. The pure version doesn't add Phoenix Downs or Ethers or any of the other stuff that the later versions often had. So yeah, I'm going to put Kraken in the back position here so that he doesn't get hit too much, and keep him topped off, because he's the most important of the 4 characters. I mean, I guess I could give the Mass Immune to someone else if Kraken falls, but still, I'm trying not to let anyone fall. It's very important. Yeah, if anyone falls before the final boss, you might as well just warp out and start the dungeon over again. Everybody's got protection against instant death spells, which is a must. So really, I just need to worry about keeping their HP at a fairly decent level, and everything should go fine. So yeah, we're coming up on the Kraken fight now, so I'm starting to use my Lightning 3 spells. I'm staying on top of the heals. You gotta be very, very patient. Gotta be very patient in this game, late in this game, with a party like this, because healing is very tedious. And you have to be very on top of using your heal items to heal, as opposed to just potions, because you will run out, like I said. So Kraken, we're going to give haste to my Kraken, and he's going to attack with the Mass Immune, and everyone else is basically just support at this juncture. I believe I used up most of my Light 3 charges, which is what I would probably cast on this guy. There we go. Looking good. Temper. I don't think Temper really does anything in this game. He's got 4 Light 3, so we might as well dole one out there. Kraken's going to just attack as usual. So you'll see that Light 3 did 118. That's better. That's about 3 times as much as spells did to carry. So yeah, Kraken is definitely vulnerable to spells, but I really do want to rely on my melee for this fight. So yeah. It's kind of funny that caster groups in Final Fantasy 1 always end up just relying on Mass Immune and melee attacks. It's just, I don't know, it's funny. If you try to beat the game without the Mass Immune, just using nukes, you're going to be in for a bad time, because your characters are probably going to run out of nuke casts before they even take Chaos down. And that's if they save up until the Chaos fight. Yeah, I mean, unless they're a pretty decent level, then yeah, you might be able to take Chaos down if you just do nothing but nuke and hope for the best. But I prefer to bring the Mass Immune, because it's like a free nuke every round, and that's very important. Matter of fact, if your character is buffed with haste, it's actually better than nuke against the final boss. Temper, I might have already mentioned this, but Temper doesn't do anything in this version. For a really long time I thought it did, and I've actually gotten conflicting reports about this. But I'm fairly certain that Temper is a useless spell in this version of the game, which is very disappointing. I was all ready to use it in this final dungeon, only to be informed that really just need to use haste on the Mass Immune user. Just hit him with a haste, let him attack, boom, you're all done. So this next part is the air floor, and it looks like I'm just kind of burning up my last few charges of 3 spells. I'm alternating between characters that are healing and characters that are attacking. That way I don't use up all their MP too quickly. They'll still have a lot of casts to use against the enemies if I alternate them around. Tiamat here is a tough fight. This is definitely a tough fight. You can just cast Bane on her over and over and over again and hope for a win. But in my experience, that never works. Like, I've tried it. Use the Bane sword, cast the spell Bane. It doesn't work. None of it works. So I think right now I'm kind of deciding how to approach this fight. I think I might want to burn some nuke spells on this fight, because yeah, this is definitely the biggest threat in this dungeon outside of Chaos. Actually, for this party, Kraken's probably a bigger threat than Tiamat, because Kraken's physical attacks can very easily wipe out a single character, which with this party means you have to start the dungeon over. So yeah, Kraken can definitely be a problem as well. But I'm making very judicious use of my items. I've got defensive items like the white shirt that are very useful. on fights like Kraken. Basically, in this game, you can render enemy physical attacks to be completely useless. You know, a few casts of a white shirt for the evasion bonus, and enemies won't even be able to scratch you after that. So yeah, the biggest threat in this game is definitely AoE spells and whatnot at this point in the game. All right, we're doing good. Tiamat has a lot of health though, so yeah, I'm gonna mix some nukes in here. As long as I still have enough for chaos, you know, plus mass immune attacks, I'll be fine. Chaos does a full heal if you take too long to win the fight, and that's why it's very important to kind of maximize your damage output and your kind of DPS efficiency in this game. Alright, so that's it. We've got the final floor here. It looks like I'm going to go ahead and get healed. You know, without using potions. I'm just going to like manually get healed. Just get down to one enemy in the battle, buff everyone's evasion, and just spam heals until everyone's healed up, basically. You know, it's a little bit tedious, but it's no more tedious than having to fill sub-tanks in a Mega Man game. Okay, so we're done with that. We're going to move up to the final boss here. And here's Garland. Notorious Garland. I just played an entire game about Garland. It was good. So we're going to go ahead and haste the mass immune user, get your evasion on everybody, and throw some nukes out there. Nuke does very good damage to chaos. That's why I saved most of them for this fight. So yeah, we've got nukes, we've got evasions done. You only need to use the white shirt twice. Once it's used twice, I think you've got all the evasion that you need. I keep saying invasion. All right, looks good. Nuke, light. Okay, good. Yeah, mass immune's doing good, doing well. I mean, oh, he hit Kraken. Yeah, come to think of it, I think using the white shirt 4 times might be the best situation as opposed to 2 times, because the white shirt casts Invis. It casts like group Invis, and Invis has half the evasion that Blink has, and it takes 2 casts of Blink to max out your evasion. Therefore, it should take 4 casts of Invis to max out your evasion. Why do I keep doing that? That is weird. Maybe I have like a little bit of a speech impediment. Carrie is down. Luckily, Carrie is not a crucial character for this fight, so I've still got the win. Very, very nice. It would have been better if I had a spotless win with no deaths, but hey, at least I got the win. Wasn't easy at all. This whole final dungeon run was definitely a challenge, but it was a lot of fun. As far as Hogwarts Legacy goes, I'm going to try to be very succinct here. There's a lot of opinions that are flying around right now. I'm going to give my opinion, which isn't any better than anyone else's opinion. But what I've been seeing a lot of all week on gaming websites in particular is people telling other people not to play a video game because they believe that the creator has hateful views and wants trans people murdered. I've actually seen a lot of people claiming this, claiming that J.K. Rowling actually wants people murdered, and kind of using that to tell other people, to order other people not to play a game. First of all, nobody has any right to tell anyone else what they're allowed to play or watch or read. A lot of people grew up with Harry Potter, and they're really looking forward to this game. It's very nostalgic for a lot of people, myself included. But I've gotten a lot more interested in actually playing it because of all the hoopla, whereas before I kind of, wasn't really paying that much attention. But now I am, so mission accomplished. I mean, the people that are boycotting it have, had the exact opposite effect because they've drawn like a lot more attention to the game.
Hogwarts Legacy, 580,000 people. Look at that. Holy fuck, man. Jesus. Only, and that's only pre-orders? Yeah, it's just more and more people playing the game. Game releases on Friday. Exactly. They did a great job of the boycott. I can see that.
You can boycott if you want to, but like I said, a lot of people were really looking forward to this game, and we don't just ban things that we don't like here in the United States because we are not run by Chairman Mao. My little buddy is here to say hi. Hello, buddy. What's up? Look how hateful this cat is. He's so hateful. What do you think about Hogwarts Legacy? Do you like Hogwarts Legacy? Well, Xander is not speaking out against Hogwarts Legacy, so it's safe to say that he's very hateful. So if we're really not going to play, read, or watch things because one of the people involved has personal beliefs that we don't personally approve of, well, then we won't be able to play, read, or watch anything after a while, because literally everything that we consume or are a fan of has had people involved with it that might have views that we don't personally agree with. But yeah, after a while, if you keep this up, you're not going to have any media left. It's all going to be gone. Everything will be forbidden because everything's got that little element of being problematic, so it's got to go. And this is where I say that we need to be able to separate the art from the artist and judge the art on its own merits, despite the despicable actions of the artist. But if I said that, it would be a total cop-out, because I don't think the artist is actually despicable in this case. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. Don't leave yet. Don't leave yet. It's important for me to note, okay? It's important for me to note that if someone actually is a hateful bigot or a hateful transphobe, I would be one of the first in line to say that that person isn't cool. J.K. Rowling's only crime in this case was standing up for women and rape victims. A few times in the past, she's made arguments that people with a penis are men and should not be allowed into female-only spaces, where women might be put in danger in some way by the presence of these men with penises. She also argued that another woman shouldn't have lost her job for saying similar things. And these were the things that brought people's rage down against this woman. That she was standing up for other women being safer in women-only spaces. That is why people hate J.K. Rowling. Right. I don't know everything she's ever said, and I'm sure she said things I don't agree with, things I wouldn't personally say. I haven't seen any indication whatsoever that J.K. Rowling hates anybody or wants anybody killed. I'm not going to go back through her entire social media history so I can judge her on it. I don't really care what she has to say about very many things, actually. Like I said, I'm sure she said things that I don't agree with. But all I can focus on is what she had to say recently that really put her in the crosshairs right before this game released. The latest brouhaha that caused such a fuss was that J.K. Rowling argued on behalf of women in a Scottish prison who are being locked up with a male rapist with a penis. This guy right here. This is a male rapist with a penis. This guy right here. That is a man. That's a man with a penis who is a serial rapist. And Scottish authorities were willing to put him in jail with women, and J.K. Rowling stood up for those women and said, hey, why are you putting this guy in a jail with women when he's a serial rapist and he has a penis? And he clearly isn't female. There needs to be some common sense applied. And like I said, I've been defending people my entire life. I've been defending trans people since before it was cool. Okay? I've been defending a lot of people since before it was cool to defend them. And I still say that we need to have some common sense about how we do things. This is a guy who is exploiting the system. He's exploiting the kindness of Scottish authorities to kowtow to his identity. And he's exploiting that so that he can victimize more women. If we were talking about an actual transgender person who switched genders and looks female now, and you want to argue that they shouldn't go in a male prison, I actually agree. I agree completely. They'd almost certainly get badly hurt. If they look like a woman, they have, female parts, and you put them in with a bunch of dudes, they're going to get hurt. We shouldn't do that. But like I said, we have to apply common sense. When you let people go into the prison they want to go to based on what they identify as, you open Pandora's box, to say the least. It's one thing if someone actually changes genders. It's another thing if you can just merely identify as whatever you want on that particular day. And the authorities have to bend to the whims of your identity. That is completely open to exploitation by scumbags like this guy. He's exploiting the justice system so that he can be in a position to hurt more women. This is happening in the UK, it's happening in California, it's happening in New Jersey. It's fucked up. If you care about women, it's fucked up. Spotlighting incidents like this, like J.K. Rowling does, is not the same thing as calling for genocide of a group of people. She has never done that. This week I learned that the Free Hat episode of South Park was actually a documentary.
And thanks to the bravery of this young man in particular, Hat McCullough is finally free from prison.
What? Thank you, everyone. Kill the innocent! I'm so thankful for all your support. Rape the virgin! And I just wonder if I could get a baby real quick?
Sure, give that man a baby!
People are relentlessly bad-mouthing this woman and bad-mouthing a game that she has very little to do with, that a lot of people worked very hard to produce. A lot of love went into this game. And people are bad-mouthing the game and bad-mouthing this woman because she stood up for women. Now, imagine if a woman that you care about, maybe your sister, let's say your sister goes to prison for tax evasion or something stupid like that. And then you find out that this serial rapist is going to be her cellmate. How would you feel? How would you feel? You. See, it's a little different when it's someone that you care about. The sad thing is that J.K. Rowling is actually ultra progressive. Ultra progressive. She's probably more progressive than I am. Now, I'm pretty liberal. I haven't moved in the last 10 years. I've been the same guy for the past 10 years. But there's a lot of other people that have shifted, so I'm no longer in their camp because they've shifted, but I'm still the same guy. Let's try to cut this woman some slack for stating what should be an obvious truth. And even if you don't think so, maybe acknowledge that she's entitled to her opinion. She might have some really offensive views in some cases that I'm not aware of, but they're her views, and she's allowed to have them. I'm not a mind reader, and I don't spend all my time on social media keeping track of everything that famous people think. All I've got to go by is reading her recent statements that invited a backlash. And in this particular case, I can't find anything particularly offensive about trying to protect women who are in prison. I hope the game does well. Almost everyone I know seems to be playing it, so I guess it is doing well. And maybe let's save the moral panic for situations that actually call for it. And for fuck's sake, let's not put male rapists into women's prison just because they found a way to exploit a system designed to protect people who aren't total liars. But yeah, the backlash over this game has been insane. Absolutely ridiculous, ludicrous, and insane. Resetera, is that what it's called? Resetera? Resetera actually messed with one of the guys at Digital Foundry at his own house because they didn't want him to review the game. And he wasn't even planning to review the game. Anyway, because he doesn't like Harry Potter. They were actually like harassing him at his own home. Like, what is this? They're harassing streamers because they're playing a game
The reason this boycott turned nasty is because prominent internet activists made you believe trans people's livelihoods were at stake because a lot of people wanted to play a video game. They made you believe that purchasing it was a political statement that expressed callous disregard for a minority group's well-being. They did this because they wanted yet another manufactured excuse to pat themselves on the back, and misrepresentation and exaggeration are the only tools they have. They're addicted to making mountains out of molehills. For some of them, it's their job. Never forget that. Outrage is an endless revenue stream, and business can boom whenever they need it to.
This really brought my least favorite people out of the woodwork. The set of people who won't stop trying to police other people's thoughts, who spend all their time talking about imagined slights and imagined crimes, imagined ists, imagined phobias, constantly looking for new dragons to slay because they're just that self-important as to see themselves as the hero at all times. The people who complain about bullies and every single little slight they experience while calling other people incels and calling for bullying campaigns against people who don't meet their ideological purity tests, completely certain of their own moral infallibility, compared to the disgusting deplorables who don't fully and completely adhere to their dogma. People like me, who could be an ally. And one more thing. If you think that Harry Potter is anti-Semitic, because when you look at goblin bankers, your mind immediately goes to Jewish people, the problem might not be Harry Potter, it might be you. Thank you for listening, especially if you don't agree. And hopefully I gave you some food for thought. And like I said, my opinion is not any better than anyone else's. I'm just giving it. And one more thing. Only losers join Hufflepuff. Slytherin for life. More like Fucklepuff.